I mean, it's just so easy to just read so much. We've talked about this before, how easy it is to do. Someone said, yeah, I am overreading everything. Oh, the Blaze of Glory said, I would have been worried about that rock falling on me. I have often wondered if the Madison is that in that area would be our water crossing, cold, brave in the wood. But the Madison never looks easily crossable to me. Looks deep and swift all the time. Not really. There was an island not far from that rock. If you looked downriver from that rock, there were a lot of rocks in the water. I don't think the Madison, if you're there at the right time, is that deep. If you're going to be there when it's the shallowest, probably the smartest time to be there would be, well, you don't want to be there in the winter, but I'm sure it's the shallowest in the winter because all the water is tied up in snow and ice. Then, of course, the ice melts and you have the spring runoff. But then at the end of the summer, and Forrest was supposed to have put this treasure out in late August, I believe it is, you have, the water is again down because you've had the long summer, all of the mountain water, all the ice and snow has run off previously. And so I'm going to be out there in late August, early September. And I think the water, to me, looks like it'll be pretty low. But I don't have any real... The only problem I have I say I'm going out there, but I got to tell you right now, at this particular moment, I don't really have a blaze to go to. And I don't feel like just going out there for shits and giggles. It's a nice area, but if you're going to spend your money going on a trip, go to Disneyland down in Florida or something. That's not really my bag. But you know what I'm trying to say. I don't really care to go out there and just kind of... The only reason I would go out there right now without a blaze would be to go to the museums. You have the Buffalo Bill Museum, you have the Cody, you have the Rocky Mountain Museum, you've got the museum, there's a museum in Three Forks. There's a museum, there are a number of museums in that area. And I often wonder if being wise doesn't refer to going in and being in a museum. I've often wondered about the chapter of the book where he talks about borders and he talks about being in a bookstore. And of course, being wise, you normally would kind of think of a book-learned person who has read a lot. And we know Forrest loves to read and he loves to write. So I thought of going out there and looking at the museums, but then I think of other Forrest quotes where he basically says, you know, you should just be able to read this and read the poem and read the book and find the treasure. And, you know, he doesn't say, and you need to go stop at a few museums. So that's, again, where this mind thing with him saying things and kind of making you wonder, well, am I silly to go to a museum? I should be able to read the book and, in my opinion, at a certain point, see a correlation between subtle hints in the book and the poem. And it should lead me to, but I'm telling you folks, I haven't seen it yet. Started rereading it the other day. I think I'm about halfway through it. The only thing I would say is that really strikes out is he talks a lot about baking. He talks a lot about baking. I mean, baking pies, his mother cooking pies, or fake pies, faux pies. You know, the grandmother who made him pies, the cook at the store who made him pies. I mean, at the place he worked, the restaurant. I mean, my goodness, he talks about baking all the time. I mean, how could that not be one of the subtle hints? But what it is, what it is, what is it a hint for? Baker's Hole on the Madison? There's a Baker's Hole. I looked at Baker's Hole. I didn't see anything very outstanding about Baker's Hole. A lot of bacon going on in that book, through all its face. I just saw that again from Terry McKernan. I'm trying to be as sincere as possible. You're a dumbass, Eric. No, he didn't say that. I really like your perseverance. What does it mean when you keep trying to do the same thing over and over, expecting different results? That's funny. I'm trying to be I mean, he's a nice guy. He was being cool. Just reading that first line, you go, uh-oh, somebody's got something to tell me. All right, well, I've kind of run out of I've skipped a lot. I mean, some of them are they're not really, they don't add that much to the conversation. That's not at all to say I don't appreciate the comments. For those of you that send comments saying they really like what I'm doing, thumbs up, I'm not going to read that. For those of you that say you don't like me, or which there are always far less, no reason to read that. I don't mind criticism, but it's not adding to it. All I tried to do was introduce comments that I thought, and I always am so disorganized, people, I got to tell you. I wanted to talk about this. Someone, you know, what's really funny is I do these videos and I sometimes get people that tell me that Fenn has said something that seems almost directly related to what I have said. And I certainly don't for a minute think that Fenn is responding to something I have said and they're letting me know it. Because they're all saying, oh, well, I remember this quote where Fenn said this or that. Remember, my solve still could be, it's basically finding a spot and then doubling back. And there's a reason I have to do it that way, but I don't want to get into that because I think that would be kind of a giveaway. But to do this, to figure out this solve and where the blaze might be, I have to get to a certain spot and then go back a certain amount. And I wasn't even really thinking about it, and I think this was from every great once in a while someone comments in the wrong video. In other words, they have a thought in their head and they'll be watching a different video, and that's when they decide to put the comment in, and that's fine. So, but I'm just saying these were supposed to be just comments about this one about finding the blaze. And this guy said, man in the park said, Fenn said you don't need to double back, and a comprehensive knowledge of geography might help. I enjoy your videos, though. I never knew Fenn ever discussed not having to double back. I think what he's talking about is someone once said, would it help for you to reverse engineer from the blaze back to figure out how to get to the blaze? And Fenn made some sort of smart-ass comment like, well, yeah, if you want to spend extra gas money, but what's the point? What would the point be of doing it that way if you already knew where the blaze was? I think that's what he said. So that might be what this guy's talking about. I'd be very surprised if Forrest Fenn ever commented on the fact that I said in a video that my way of finding the blaze is going to require me to search to a certain point and then go all the way back about halfway to know where the blaze is. If that makes sense, probably doesn't. What was that guy's name? Osborne Russell? Was that it? Russell Osborne. Is that it? Journal of a Trapper? Russell Osborne? Pretty sure it was Russell Osborne. I was just glancing at that guy who said, you know, yeah, Russell Osborne, that's the book that Fenn said I think he read 9 times. I read that book before I ever knew about Forrest Fenn. It's just a freaking cool. It's again this guy out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, and here's what someone said. Oh, here it is. We'll leave on this note before I get to the possible new blaze. He said that would be cool if your cat's names. This was Tom Sawyer. Oh, this is. Wait a minute. Before I get that way. Before I get that far. Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy, rdobery. R-D-O-B-E-R-Y. He's the guy that said I should check out a place for the blaze. So we're going to look at that place because it is freaking cool. I have no idea if this fits the poem. I just know it is super freaking cool. But before we get that far, Tom Sawyer said, oh, Crimson Coat said, they're about the rock. Crimson Coat said, there are 8 fish representing the clues, and the 9th is in the rock in the photo. I don't know. He didn't explain any further. I couldn't see a rock. I mean, I couldn't see a fish in the rock. But who knows? Let me tell you something. This is what I learned a long time ago. A lot of smart people involved in this hunt. A fair amount of people that maybe a little off, obsessive, OCD type people. But people make comments that sometimes I blow off in my ignorance, and I think, this guy's an idiot, you know. I'm not saying that about this guy, but he says there are 8 fish representing the clues, and the 9th is in the rock in the photo. His name is Crimson Coat. I still don't know what he's talking about. I looked at the rock. I didn't see a fish shape in it or anything. There are those striations that come down, you know, the grooves in the rock. I didn't see it. But I'll dismiss it. I'll dismiss something like that. And 2 months down the line, I'm thinking, this has something to do with 9 fish. Wait a minute, that's what that guy was talking about. And then I'll have to go back and find the quote and realize, who knows? I don't know. Could be a good idea. Tom Sawyer said, that would be cool if the cats' names were talking about my cats, who have not come in today, which is interesting. It's very hot here in South Carolina. It's very hot. And they tend to slow down when it gets hot. I mean, I got the air conditioner now, and it's perfectly comfortable in here to me. But, you know, animals, they're almost like tuned in to the outside through the walls, or I don't know how it works. But the animals are really incredible the way they're so aware of the outside, even when they're inside. Plus, they're just lazy in general. Who am I kidding? But this guy said, that would be cool if the cats' names were Toby and Shelley. He's referring to A Gypsy's Kiss. And I've wondered a couple of times when people started commenting on my cats, Tober and Belle. If anyone thought Tober had any relation to Toby, well, he does not. I said, well, those are rescue cats. I got them from Charlotte, North Carolina. Those are rescue cats that were already named when they were adopted. Tober is close to Toby, but just not quite there, and Tober is definitely a Tober and not at all a Toby. As Belle is definitely a Belle, B-E-L-L. Her name is B-E-L-L, Belle. Someone wanted him to change her name from Belle to Belle, B-E-L-L-E, which is kind of the more sophisticated way of saying Belle, when they were adopted, but he refused. Oh, he is me. He was referring to me in the third person, so I was just saying it in the third person. Okay. Tober is definitely a Tober, not at all a Toby. And as Belle is definitely a Belle, B-E-L-L. Someone wanted me to change her name from Belle to B-E-L-L-E when they were adopted, but I refused. I said, I didn't think she should have to get used to being called a different name from what she was used to already being called. That was a joke, get it? Because her name was Belle, B-E-L-L, and you say Belle. And then if her new name was B-E-L-L-E, it would be Belle. And I was saying, you know, I don't think she wants to get used to being called a new name, you know. It's supposed to be a joke. But most importantly, not all things in my life have to do with the treasure hunt. And that is the absolute truth. I mean, it was kind of weird to think that someone would actually think my cats would be named after something to do with the treasure hunt. My life, believe it or not, does not revolve around the treasure hunt. It's definitely part of my life, but no, I wouldn't ever name my cat after anything to do with the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. Plus, they were already named, so I thought Tober was a cool name. I'd heard the name, but I've never thought of for an animal, but or a pet, I should say. They're not really animals. But I know some of you. What do you mean? They're not one of those weirdo? Yeah, they're personalities to me. They're pretty cool. All right, the next thing I want to show you here is what rdobery commented on. Let's get to it in 1 second.